Hi there, Rogerbining, January 7th, 2011. Just here to talk about some of the murders that have been occurring in Edmonton and elsewhere, and I think they're directly related to some of the topics I've talked about in the past, such as the media and also ideas. Excuse me, also ideas and where I believe some of my ideas have been stolen and they're worth a lot of money, and also some of my and some of the things that are portrayed in the media that could potentially, well, which would lead to big class action lawsuits and big criminal charges against media organizations. But there's a lot of murders that have been happening. This has been happening ongoing for a while. And started noticing, as in my other video, I discussed the license plates. I noticed this one plate called, and it said pound on it. The next day, a friend called up and asked me to drive him to the dog pound because his dog had escaped. So that's when I kind of started noticing some of this. And then a couple of days later, his dog was found dead. And I still kept talking about that, but now there's been so many dogs found dead and so many dogs being poisoned in little communities in Alberta and in dogs being culled in BC that it almost became commonplace. But that's also to say with some of these other murders, like that Maple, the little student who was murdered at SFU. Um, we're just talking about maple syrup. If we like maple syrup or Aunt Jemima, and I went and got some maple syrup, made some French toast, and then now just recently maple stucco. Their truck drove by the other day, so that's what I've noticed is always a company truck with a company logo relating to a news story where somebody's been murdered. So it seems like it's a form of intimidation or coercion, and I think these people are being murdered on purpose, just like this Jenny that was murdered in BC on Bruce Street. It was just a random killing. Supposedly, she was sitting in a gray SUV with her kid in the back, and somebody ran up to the car and shot her in the head. And as those of you know me, my girlfriend's name is Jenny, but she has a gray SUV, and we laugh about the guy a couple of doors down, and we call him Bruce because he looks like a family friend, so we call him Bruce. And it's kind of weird that this chick sitting outside in Vancouver on Bruce Street was murdered, and her name was Jenny. And Brian Boner, Cyrus Green, I was just writing on friend's Facebook page about his fireplace. He's challenged. He was doing his bricklaying certificate, and it's weird that a kid got shot in the front of a fireside. Victoria Stratford, mother-in-law, lives across from Stratford School in the West End. Carpenter, I've been doing some part-time work as a carpenter, and now another carpenter just got murdered in Grenada. The rig pig just died last week. Um, but anyways, there's just a lot of these stories are related to my life. Or when I went to, when a friend called me up and wanted to go run stairs, and the next day somebody was murdered on top of McDonald Hill stairs, or else or else or that James Catholic found dead in a alley because we're discussing, me and my father-in-law are discussing the Catholic Church. It's just strange. It's not strange. It's more than mere coincidence that this many bodies have turned up that relate to topics that are being discussed by yours truly, and those are on him. And I just think that it's more than coincidence. So I did let human rights know a couple of years ago, but they didn't do anything about it at that time. They didn't even contact the RCMP or the police. I've called the police before, and I think they're pretty easy to dismiss it because obviously with the Cyrus Green thing, it's involving them somehow, and I've written much about the police on my website, on my Facebook, and other websites because uh, you know the reasons why. But anyways, all these murders I think are more than just mere coincidence. They are actually murdering these people, and and yeah, it's just they're all related somehow to something. If I go into the archives, I bet you just about every murder, 90% of the murders that happened over the last 5 years are somehow related. I've been trying to tell human rights right from that dog pound where I was talking about license plates and the license plates about cut and all the things that have happened to me in my workplace and everything else that have been related. But these and Beck, those Becks, I can't remember their full name, but they were murdered in Fort McMurray. They're two twins. But basically, if your name appears, any part of the digits of your name appears on a license plate, I'd be fucking scared because, pardon my French, but chances are you might end up as a news story, and because it happens over and over and over and over again. And I just wanted to let you guys know that and be aware. And yeah, if anybody has a similar experience to this, saying that these news stories are actually relating to their life and somebody's getting killed, and I think my friends might actually have similar experiences. So I encourage you to speak out instead of being scared and keeping your mouth shut, because silence is silence is basically the worst thing you can do is to remain silent. So I encourage you to speak up and speak out. And yeah, please contact me. Please contact the police. Please contact the RCMP if you think need be. I'd be more than happy to talk to them. So um, I will organize this a little better, and the next video will show more detail of all these news stories, but it's just a lot of research and a lot of archive work. So for now, have a good night and talk to you soon.